What's up everybody, it's Drew Wilkins with Swine Bovine Barbecue, and in this video we're making smoked then grilled pork belly tacos. Let's get going. We have ourselves a fantastic looking slab of pork belly. Now we're not going to use all of this for our tacos. That would be a lot of tacos, more than I'm going to eat. So what we're going to do is cut this into sections. I'm going to go for about 4 equal sections on this. So right about here, right about here, and right about here. So that one, this one, and this one will get vac sealed for future use, but this nice little middle cut right here is what we're going to use to make our tacos. So let's season it up. We're going to keep it very simple for seasoning on this. We want it to be savory, so there's not going to be any sweetness involved. So we're going to start off with some Chud's Barbecue SPG. Just a nice healthy coating on all sides. Then we're going to top it all off with some Fiesta brand Season It All. It's basically their version of Lowry's, so if you don't have this where you are, just use Lowry's. And that's all there is to it, so we're going to let this hang out room temp while we go fire up the pit. Our pit is cruising along at 250 degrees, so let's get our pork belly on. But we're just going to shut this down, let it cook at 250. We're not going to disturb it. We're not going to wrap it. We're not going to do anything special to this. We just want to let it take on a lot of smoke flavor and cook through. So check on this pork belly when it's done. Not many dull days here in Texas the past week. Didn't show much rain, and of course it starts pouring. It's letting up a little bit. Hopefully we'll continue. Chud Pit's still cruising right along though. 6.5 hours after we put our pork belly on, it is done. We're temping in the thicker part here about 192, 193, and in the thinner part we're at 195, which is exactly where I want it. It's not butter tender, but we're gonna slice this up and turn it into tacos. So we don't want it to be falling apart tender, we want it to hold its shape. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this, let it cool off. Pork belly is wrapped up in a nice little saran wrap package, and we're going to throw this in the fridge overnight. Now this is not a necessary step. If you wanted to slice this and grill it off right now, that would be completely fine. But the way the timing's working out for this cook, it's just going to go in the fridge overnight and it's going to be tomorrow's dinner. So for now, this is going in the fridge. We'll see you tomorrow. It is the following day and we're ready to make some tacos. However, can't really have tacos without some sort of salsa and some tortillas. So let's make them. So we have Roma tomatoes here. This one specifically was grown in our home garden, but I like to take out the seed and pulp section. Makes it a little easier to deal with and not as soupy. We don't want a soupy Pico de Gallo or Salsa or whatever you want to call it. Then we'll just give it a nice fine dice. That's 2 cored and seeded Roma tomatoes to start off our salsa. Now we have half a white onion, and we're going to use roughly about half of this half of onion. So about a quarter of white onion. We're going to make some pretty thin little slices. So that's a quarter of a white onion. We have a serrano here. We're slicing it very thin. Remove the stem. You want a lot of flavor from this, but they're really spicy. So much hotter than jalapenos, much more consistent than jalapenos too. Sometimes you can have a jalapeno that's very hot, sometimes you can have one that's very bland. You pretty much know what you're getting with serranos. We're gonna dice it very, very small, that way we get a consistent amount in each bite. So that's 1 serrano pepper, added to our salsa. So now we have our cilantro. This is roughly half a bunch of cilantro. I don't separate the stems. I don't mind it. If you want them separated, go ahead and do so. We're just going to dice this up pretty well. So that's half a bunch of salsa going into our half a bunch of cilantro going in our salsa. The last fresh ingredient we need for our salsa is some lime. Just going to roll this out, cut it in half, and juice both halves. Now we're going to go in with a couple of healthy pinches of Diamond Crystal kosher salt, a couple of turns of black pepper, and then lastly some apple cider vinegar. And that's what's prevented me from calling this a Pico. as it's certainly not traditional with the addition of apple cider vinegar, but that acidity is gonna go great with our pork. Now mix this up. It's gonna be nice and juicy from that apple cider vinegar and the lime. Create a little bit of its own juices as well. Taste for flavor. Then our salsa slash pico slash whatever you want to call it is done. For our tortillas, we're going to go in with 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of salt. Then we're going to go in with 1/3 cup of lard. Now we're going to mix this up till it's nice and combined, and that lard will be fully integrated in and take on a little bit of a pebbly texture. Once we have that nice pebbly texture, we're going to start adding in slowly 1 cup of warm water until we have a nice dough ball formed. Once that dough ball is formed, we'll flour our work surface, get our dough out, and knead it just a little bit more on the board. And there we go, nice tortilla dough ball. So now we're going to put these into 40-gram balls. That's how I like my taco tortillas. Once we get the 40 grams, we're going to roll them up. All the seams are on the bottom. Give it a roll on the cutting board, somewhere dry without flour preferably. We've got ourselves a nice little tortilla ball. So repeat until you're done. We have some nice little tortilla balls. That whole dough recipe makes about 15 tortillas. We've got 10 here. Froze the rest of the dough. My wife and I don't get through 15 tortillas, so I always just freeze it, save it for later use. So for now, we're going to let these rest for at least 30 minutes. It'll help the gluten relax in these, and it'll make it much easier for these to press out and hold their shape. While they rest, let's go fire up the grill. Most of you likely need no introduction to this, but this is a chud press. This is how I make my tortillas. I rolled them out for a while, and it's a pretty tedious task when you're doing it by yourself. So I ended up getting this, and it makes making flour tortillas very easy. So we've got our ball on. We're going to give it a nice amount of pressure. You don't have to put all your weight down on it or anything. Ooh, got a little squeak there. Mine typically sticks to the top, so I just scrape it off and then put the top side down on the bottom. We'll let this go for probably 45 seconds. 45 seconds in, give it a flip. Then we should get a decent puff out of this little flour tortilla. After about 20 seconds on this side, it is done. Word of the wise, don't grab the puffy area. The steam coming out is incredibly hot. This is done. We'll get it in the warmer, finish the rest of them. So for these tacos, we're going to be slicing up this pork belly that we've already cooked and then grilling it on the unbarked side. It's smelling fantastic. So we're going to slice this into individual taco-sized pieces. Looking great. One of the reasons we didn't go to full probe tender is due to the fact that we're slicing it like this, and we don't want it to fall apart on the grill once it reheats. This should leave us with a great bite through, a lot of great smoky flavor, and then grilled flavor too. And this is going to get a ton of color on it very, very quickly because there's a ton of fat in this. We're cooking it over a live fire. So let's go cook this up. Our yakitori is humming along nice and hot. So let's get these pieces of pork belly on. So we'll check these periodically. Once they start getting nice and brown, we'll flip it over to the other side. Once that side's nice and browned, we'll pull them. We're probably about 2.5 minutes in on this. We're getting some great color. Nice sizzle. So it's time to flip them. Let it go till the other side looks good, then we'll be done. Only took about 1.5 minutes on the other side, but these are looking great. We're gonna pull them. Let's make a taco. To start, we'll go down with one of our freshly made tortillas. Come over the top with some pork belly. Come over the top with some more pork belly. Then we're gonna hit it with our pico slash salsa slash whatever works for you to call it. I think we need a double decker though. It's a little more like it. The time has come. Very excited for this 2-day cook process. Smoked the pork belly 1 day, did everything else on the 2nd day, and it smelled delicious when I smoked it. Smelled fantastic over the grill. Got this very high acid salsa slash pico de gallo. Can't wait to try that. But I think we need to try the pork belly by itself first. Cheers. That is delicious. Salt, pepper, garlic on the outside. Nice seared crust, bacony-ish flavor on the inside, like a great griddled seared bacon, but with a fantastic smoky flavor on the outside. That's absolutely delicious though. It would make a killer, it's PBLT, I guess, pork belly, lettuce and tomato, since it's not actually bacon, we didn't cure it, but that would make an awesome sandwich. But for the star of the show, we gotta try one of these tacos. Cheers. That is unreal good. I got this idea from my buddy Brian Dugan. We went over to their house a month ago or so, and he made a similar version of this. One of the things we did with his dish was just pour that Bragg's apple cider vinegar directly over the pork belly. We didn't even use it in a pico or salsa, and it was so good. So I wanted to try it with just a smoked flare, add this pico and homemade tortillas, and man, it's not disappointing. It's delicious. Adding a bit more of this pico and a lot of the liquid to this because the acidity just goes fantastically with this. It's hard to describe. You've got to try it. I'm going in for another bite. I got to finish this. Yeah, don't skip out on the apple cider vinegar when making the pico. It absolutely helps make this tenfold better. Acidity, fat just goes really, really well together. Pork belly is seasoned fantastically. Chud rub on the outside plus a little seasoned salt. Got us exactly where we needed to be from a salinity perspective. Plenty of fat from this pork belly. We got all the bases covered. It's fantastic. And our homemade tortillas are soaking all that up, giving us a nice vessel to down these tacos. One critique I do have though is I could have cooked the pork belly a little longer when I smoked it. My fears of it falling apart, of course, didn't happen. It's holding together very, very well, but it's got maybe a little more of a chew to it than I would like, and that of course could have been fixed with more time on the smoker. So I would take it maybe till 200 degrees, see where it is. If it's probing almost like butter, pull it. Mine still had a little tug to it, not a lot. I thought the carryover plus grilling would take care of it. It didn't. Lesson learned. I'll take it a little further next time. That's gonna do it for this video. Give this a shot. I think you'll be very, very happy with it. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button. And if you have any suggestions on what you want to see me cook next, please leave it in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.